3 to 4 days to reach that target. Each day has been different. Some days it gets 7, 8, 5. We'll see what happens today. As the court is getting closer to picking a jury, one piece of evidence the state might want to introduce, we expect they will at trial, is the alleged racist statements made by 2 of the defendants just moments after Arbery was shot and killed. CourtTV legal correspondent Julia Janae has the story.
He admits to firing his shotgun 3 times. He says that all 3 shots struck the victim.
Court testimony reveals disturbing new details about what happened the day Ahmaud Arbery was shot dead in a South Georgia neighborhood.
Ahmaud Arbery was chased, hunted down, and ultimately executed at the hands of these men.
The 3 men, Travis McMichael, his father, Gregory McMichael, and their neighbor, William Roddy Bryan, all 3 face charges in Arbery's death.
Stop right there! David! Stop! Travis!
The 911 call made by Gregory McMichael reveals what was said in those moments leading up to the shooting. In court, a state police investigator reveals that Travis McMichael used the N-word, referring to the man he had just fatally shot.
Mr. Bryan said that after the shooting took place, before police arrival, while Mr. Arbery was on the ground, that he heard Travis McMichael make the statement.
Ahmaud Arbery's mother devastated by the testimony.
To learn that after my son laid there in the streets dead, that he didn't feel any type of remorse. Very, very heartbreaking.
During the 7-hour preliminary hearing, the agent testified that Travis McMichael had used a racial slur on numerous occasions, according to phone records.
On the Instagram post, somebody sends him, this is on January 2nd of 2020, someone sends him a video or a picture. We were not able to recover that from the phone. That's one of the reasons why I have a search warrant out for Instagram. They send that out. He says, makes the comment, that would only be better if they'd have blown that N-words, or had blown that N-words head off.
The agent testified that Travis, who previously served in the Coast Guard, also made racial comments about a boating job.
He made a statement that he loved his job because he was out on a boat and there weren't any N-words anywhere.
Testimony revealed that Travis McMichael's co-defendant, William Roddy Bryan, also made racist inferences, and ironically, this all came to light after a question from Bryan's own attorney.
Is there any evidence that race played a role in the actions of Roddy Bryan on June 23?
There's evidence that of Roddy Bryan's racist attitude in his communications.
Okay.
And from that, I extrapolate the reason why he made assumptions he did that day of what was occurring. He saw a man running down the road with a truck following him, and I believe he made certain assumptions that were at least in part based upon his racial bias.
Kevin Goff, Bryan's defense attorney, downplayed this revelation.
Well, certainly it wasn't the answer I was expecting, but then again, I didn't see any evidence of it today.
He says the GBI needs his client's testimony if they want to convict Travis and Greg McMichael.
Ironically, the star witness for the prosecution is supposed to be Mr. Bryan. I don't know how they're going to do that. You know, they've taken the Mockingbird. You're familiar with the book. It's a sin to kill a mockingbird. Well, the one thing worse than killing a mockingbird is trying to turn it into a canary. They had a mockingbird, and they stepped on it, and they trashed it.
The attorney for Ahmaud Arbery's family says those racist comments made by the defendants will likely not play a big role in the upcoming trial.
Racial epithet actually doesn't add much to the prosecution here, except for the fact that this wasn't an accident or self-defense, but this was hatred that was motivating his action.
In the meantime, the mother of Ahmaud Arbery grieves the loss of her son and reflects on the last moments of his life.
He was afraid. Life had put him in a position where I couldn't protect him. And unfortunately, he was not able to protect himself.
All right, with us this morning in Atlanta, Magistrate Judge Kimberly Bando and criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf joins us from Denver, Colorado. Good morning to you, Jeffrey. Thanks for joining us. To you first, Jeffrey, the idea that race isn't going to be a big part of this, Lee Merritt downplaying the significance of it. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I think that this is definitely a part of the motivation of this case, and it underpins all of it. There has been so much pretrial publicity on this case, and that is absolutely been the center of that publicity. Is why did they do this? Was this a modern day lynching? And all of that sort of questioning that's been going on in the general public in America. And I think that to think that it wouldn't become a part of the trial when this is something that there is evidence of, the racial bias of these men, I just don't think that it cannot be a factor in the trial. Obviously, where it is located, the makeup of the jury, who they end up with is going to decide how important it is to the jury themselves. But I think it's definitely a part of the case.
Kimberly, according to William Roddy Bryant, in the moment after Travis McMichael fired the final shot and killed Ahmaud Arbery was dying on the pavement. Roddy Bryant says that Travis McMichael says two horrible words that I won't repeat on television, but the jury, if the prosecution would have, as Roddy Bryant's attorney, Kevin Goff, wanted, if they used Roddy instead of tried Roddy and thrown him in with these other two, it would have been a slam dunk case, I think, if a jury heard Roddy Bryant get up there and tell the jury that possibly the last two words that this young man heard on this earth were those two words. They chose not to. They want Roddy right there with the McMichaels. Your thoughts?
I think they probably weighed the pro and the con in using him as the state witnesses or prosecuting him, or probably granting him immunity for his testimony. But I guess I'm betting that they have so much evidence with his social media and with that group text and chain that he shared all this information with, that it's enough that it was worth actually prosecuting him, and that they think they can make the case without him having to testify about those two words being spoken over Ahmaud's body.
Jeffrey, is Roddy Bryant's case different?
Well, it certainly is different because he wasn't, part of the initial chase, but it's also part and parcel of the entire situation and the issue that ended up leading to the end of Ahmaud Arbery's life. And it's the attitude of white men down in that area and throughout a lot of our country, and the way that they treat black men and the way they think about them and value or don't value their lives. And so absolutely, I think that I agree that what they did was they weighed whether they needed those two words versus whether they needed to hold this man responsible for the role that he played in that death. They chose the latter.
The jury selection process continues. They've moved on to the individual questioning portion of it. This is a live look inside the courtroom where the prospective jurors will be questioned one by one about the things that they raised their hands on during the first question period and their questionnaires that they filled out before arriving to the courthouse. This is the selection process that takes a little bit of time. We're not able to share this part of it with you because of the restrictions in the court, but as you see, they are hard at work trying to get to this number of 64 of potential jurors to move on to the next round. People are monitoring this process very closely, including Marcus Arbery, father of Ahmaud Arbery. He's been in and out of court for most of this process. He talked about the process and said at the end of the day, he obviously is looking for a guilty verdict here.
When I'm gonna wear down, when I hear a guilty verdict, that's when I'm gonna wear down. And I'm gonna rest. Till then, I'm not gonna wear down, because I was raised up to be strong. Right. My mom and daddy raised me to be strong. So all these people think Mark giving out, you keep on dreaming. Keep dreaming, that's what you do, because Mark's strong. And my boy was strong too. You see how he fought for his life when they shot him 3 times? So where you think the bloodline come from? All right. So what you think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna lay down? No, I ain't laying down. You had to lay him down with a 12-gauge shotgun. And your daddy had a 357 Magnum. And Mr. Roddy had a truck running him over. So I don't know why y'all think y'all right. And your lawyers that they had in the Senate, they'll tell you something different anyhow. They'll tell you, hey, man, y'all got to sit down somewhere. But your lawyers ain't too, what I'm seeing. That's right. All right. We gonna get a guilty verdict.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right, that was Marcus Arbery outside the courthouse. Kimberly Bando, is our prospective jurors exposed to what's going on outside the courthouse? There are things in place demonstrators are one side, they have an entrance, but this is a small town. They're hearing and absorbing all of this. Does that add another element into this process, which could be concerning?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're not being admonished at this point because they're just potential jurors. So they're free to watch the news and look at all this stuff and see what's going on, which is why I found it interesting that the defense attorneys didn't want this case moved outside of the venue because it's such a small community. So all of this stuff definitely has an effect, even if it's subconsciously, you see it and you hear it and it sits there in the back of your mind, whether you acknowledge it or not.
Jeffrey, the choice to not push for a change of venue, which you could argue was pretty much be a slam dunk in a case like this in a county so small as Glynn County, to move it to somewhere like Atlanta. The defense didn't want to do that. Why?
Well, it's pretty simple to understand why. They've been very, very confident of what they're going to get out of Glynn County jurors, and it is a tale as old as time in this country, is a small southern county trying a white man for a black man's murder. They think that they're going to get better jurors out of Glynn County than they would out of, let's say, where the DA's office came from in Cobb County near Atlanta, and a more urban center, a more liberal center. It is almost a slam dunk for the prosecution if this case goes into a real metropolitan county with real metropolitan thoughts on this case. In a small county like Glynn County, what they are doing is they are taking their only shot, which is to bet that in 2021, a white man still gets a walk in a southern rural county.
Has the pendulum swung, though, Kimberly? Could they have miscalculated?
Yeah, I think actually they could have miscalculated. They're placing their bets on the fact that these men are from Glynn County. They're from the community. They know them. They've been in the DA's office for, their entire career. And so, but they have to kind of realize, we have moved on in 2021, maybe not like completely, but there's probably enough people that have been open-minded and have a changed perspective that they, even if you have some sentiments that may be racist, that you think that this was absolutely wrong.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see as this plays out. We're continuing to watch the jury selection process. We're going to step aside, take a break. Coming up, a Florida jury came back with a verdict in the Keith Johansen murder trial late yesterday afternoon. In case you missed it, we have not only the verdict, but we've got the prosecution team reacting, and the victim's family talks to CourtTV. That's next.